Good afternoon and welcome back to Gulfstream Park. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Saturday afternoon here at Gulfstream Park. And here on Gulfstream today, I'm Gabby Gaudette, joined by Ron Nicoletti here to tackle this 12-race program. And looking at yesterday's card, actually, it was a semi-formful sequence until we got into the final leg of the Pick Six. We had a $105 winner. And the Pick Six yesterday, 6 out of 6, obviously, we had no live singles going into the final leg, but returning just shy of $90,000.
Yeah, and you know, in hindsight is always good when you see Corey Lannery on a horse for Jose Garofalo paying $105 in the last race. So congratulations to anyone that doped it out. It looks like there was a couple of tickets, so we got a huge carryover going in today. And what a beautiful day. It's another Chamber of Commerce day here in South Florida.
It's gorgeous. I don't think you could ask for better weather. We've got great racing from coast to coast. It's a big day throughout the country here, but a big day here as well, as we do have another carryover, or big carryover, in the Rainbow Six. We'll take a look at our featured wagers and those carryovers. Once again, with that big priced winner in yesterday's finale, we have a really nice rolling super high five carryover. That carryover is over $25,000, so you can dive into the action early there in race one. Race one also does kick off our 50-cent early pick five there. As we progress to race 7 on the card, 20-cent Rainbow Six does start $2.9 million. It continues to grow. Wow, that's definitely something. When you see the $3 million mark on in the pools, it's fantastic there and very surprising. Race 8 on the card, a 50-cent late pick 5. Once again, we do have some guarantees in the pick 5, $150,000, and we also have $250,000 guarantee in the late pick 4. Could you ask for any more action here today?
No, we got it all. We got it from early to late. From the first race on, we started off with the early pick 5 and the super high 5 today going into the first race. As you mentioned, $25,000 already in that pool. And when that happens, it usually skyrockets to over $100,000 easy.
It does. Yesterday, I believe, or maybe 2 days ago, we had a carryover kind of in the mid part of the races, and it was like a $6,000 carryover, and the pools, I think, went over to maybe $50,000, $60,000.
That particular day, I think they bet $66,000 on that, and it was just like, goes right up. So it's a great bet. And that's right in the opening race today.
Exactly. Well, we didn't take a stab at the super high 5, but we did take a stab at the early pick 5, and you have a ticket, so walk us through it.
Well, I'll show you my ticket now, and it's a $36 ticket. You see I'm going 8, 9, and 10 in the opening leg. Then I'm 1, 6 in the second, 3 deep, 2 deep, and 2 deep, $36. See if we can start the day on a positive note and nail this one. And I think I got the logical 3, at least in race 1, or the way I handicap, I think I do.
Okay, you don't have my 6, Banco Dinero, which is my top selection.
Never mind.
But this is what makes it all the more fun, is a difference in opinions. But we'll go back and take a look at the 6 Banco Dinero's most recent replay. And actually, Mansion House, your current 8-5 favorite, comes out of the same race. But I really wanted to hone in on the 12 Banco Dinero going into the first turn, actually. And he unfortunately had to break from that way outside post position going the mile. As we know, it's very hard to save ground from that outside post, and he was maybe 8 wide going into that first turn, just had no ability to save any bit of ground. So he ultimately lost a lot of ground there. We can key in on the 5 Mansion House there towards the inside. Banco Dinero, again, he's trying to get in position, but this horse is just so wide the entire race, and we can see the 5 Mansion House there sitting a nice stalking trip under jockey Julian Leparoux. That was 2 starts back here. And once again, the 12 Banco Dinero just does not have the ability to save any ground. He has to once again go extremely wide, as we do see Mansion House a little bit reserved there, waiting for a little bit of a pocket. How wide is he there in the final turn, Ron?
Yeah, I mean, he ran an extra 16th of a mile, it looks like, from beginning to end.
He did, and here we can see, and The apprehension here is that we didn't really see the horse kick on from there. He did try to close, as we saw Mansion House have a little bit of a late burst, so that's why the money is going to go to Mansion House in here. But overall, I thought Banco Dinero ran a much farther race.
Oh, he did. If you look at the feet traveled, you would see that on he definitely ran farther. So a good pick on your part, 9-1 on the board.
And the 8 Mansion House, that we did enough talking about him, but we also have the 10 Sunset District, who should be competitive in this spot. I went against him a little bit, but his form speaks for himself. He was beaten just over a length last time out, now dropping in.
Yeah, you know, he has his claiming tag sliced in half. He recovered from a slow start. He finished an okay fifth. He was beaten less than 2 lengths, and that was a $30,000 two-lifetime claimer at the distance. Trainers Jane Sabelli and got Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle this afternoon.
The 9 Highland Warrior, I believe we have a stat. First off, the claim for trainer Peter Walder. I like this horse a little bit because I think he could be closer to the pace, but something to pay attention to. Peter Walder, first off the claim on the turf with mid-level claimers past 2 years. 2 for 23, 13%.
Yeah, 2 for 23 and only $1.13 ROI. So we talk about this. A lot of people do. Peter Walder does his best work with horses on the main track. That's not to say this horse can't win today. I put it in second, but just a stat we wanted to let you see.
And with some of those class droppers, at least he's staying at the same level, making a lateral move, which sometimes is a positive. We'll move on to the second race on the card, 6 furlongs onto the main track. This open 6,250 claiming condition. And looking at the field, the 6 Climate Change is one that I scratch into. I really like the 8 Corinthians Glory, but this horse is coming into this race in very good form, and he is kind of a horse for the course, a 4-time winner out of 5 starts.
Yeah, he won 4 of his 5 races here last year. And returns after finishing second to a next out allowance winner. That horse was called Sweet Miss Lou. Was a $15,000 condition claimer at the fairgrounds on January 14th. Bruno Tessori, Edgar Zayas. So not only did that horse finish behind the next out winner, that horse went on to win an allowance race. So I had that one on top. Did have Corinthians Glory in second for, I thought that horse was going to run very well in this spot.
A Florida bred is coming back here to South Florida, and I agree with you. And even looking at the back races, when this filly did notch her 4 victories locally, they were against a slightly lesser company. That condition, 62.50. But again, she's coming into the race. I think she stepped up against better, so you have to respect her. The 2 Miss Deja Vu to the inside, she very well could be the speed of the speed, and she's meeting the easiest company that she's faced in her career.
Yeah, and it's good. We always remind you early on in the card to see how these races play out, and if it is the speed of the speed and goes wire to wire, make a note of that for when you put your Rainbow Six ticket together a little later on.
The one Candy's Lady was one last one that you threw into the mix there. Does draw the rail. First off the claim for New Connections. Yeah,
this one has via the claim after notching her 2nd consecutive victory over the same level of opposition. The New Connections have Orlando Boca Chica in the saddle, so this one found its level, running well. Why not? On the morning line as 3rd choice.
Okay, race 3 on the card is 6,250 non-winners of 3 lifetime conditions, 6 furlongs on to the main track, and it looks like your favorite in here should be the 6 midterm exam, looking to transition the form from turf back to the main track. And he has speed, which is always very dangerous in these races, but I think you and I both tried to take an approach to perhaps try to beat the favorite. The 4 Renombre is one that you opt for.
Yeah, I looked at the tip sheet today, and I had a little chuckle when I seen we didn't pick any horses at all the same in this race. I loved it.
Besides the 6.
Besides the 6,
yeah.
Which was a logical one. Rio Nombre is hoping for a clean beginning after bobbling at the start. He rushed up to set a pressured pace. He faded late to finish 4th against similar opposition. Mike Petro, Jonathan Gonzalez, who came back last week and won his first mount. He was out with an injury, and he's back. Love the way this kid rides. So I put Rio Nombre on top of my ticket.
The 2 Seeking Fame is one who I opt for. Yes, he's going to have to come off of the layoff, and yes, it could be a very questionable drop, as he is in for that low-level tag here today. And prior to the layoff, he had been competing against much better company. But for what it's worth, we do have a stat for the Larry Pilati barn over the past 5 years with 180-day layoffs. Dirt sprinters 33%, so 4 for 12, 6 for 12 in the money. They hit the board quite a significant amount of time, and you get paid. It's still a positive ROI, $4.36. That was the tipping point for me. That's why I landed on this horse.
Well, this Larry Pilati, one of my favorite angles is him coming off a layoff. During our spring-summer season last year, Larry Pilati had a fantastic meet doing exactly what this horse is doing today.
Hopefully you can find the winner's circle once again here today. Race 4 on the card, a nice maiden special weight, 5 furlongs on the turf. So many different ways to go in here, and there was one horse that I'll get to in a second, but the 3 blossomed in time, 3-1 on the morning line for Jason Service is probably the horse to beat.
Yeah, she was game in defeat when pressing a pace early, lacking room at the quarter pole, finishing third, and that was behind a horse, the next out winner that we seen win, I think it was last Sunday, and that was Sky My Sky at the same level and distance. A little bit of trouble in that race, and comes out, gets flattered by Sky My Sky, coming back to win, so I threw that one on my ticket, on top of my ticket.
Sky My Sky was impressive coming out of that race, too, and finding the winner's circle. This 3-year-old filly, though, yes, you can see in the short comment, she lacked room at the quarter pole. She was kind of tucked inside of horses. I thought she had full opportunity to kind of explode from there and kick on, and I didn't really see that. That said, she is facing maybe a lesser field today in terms of competition, so you have to respect her. I just have a wise guy horse in here, and take this horse with a grain of salt, because she does have to improve significantly in terms of her buyer speed figures. But why not? The 5 Charming Fantasy, we'll go back and take a look at her debut, and it was actually her turf debut as well. And we'll see her coming out of the gate here, and she did not get off to a good start whatsoever. She bobbled a little bit and then checked. I believe she might have even clipped heels there, because she had to really check heavily coming out of the gate. You cannot afford for those things to happen at 5 furlong sprints, because you just never recover. The horses are too fast, and she's just kind of grinding out a run. The pace held together relatively well, as you can see the number 7 horse closing down the stretch. And I thought it was a solid performance. Yes, she's going to have to improve drastically, but she did have excuses.
Well, you always call me a bit of a wise guy, so I got this one on the ticket along with you, just not in the top spot for all the reasons you mentioned. It's the daughter of Leroy El Salamu.
And the 4 Brinkley forward trainer Todd Pletcher. This is another one who potentially could show speed. We haven't seen her since September, but the barn can get horses ready off the shelf. And we did see Celestial Insight horse. She came back to win at, I believe, Turfway. We saw Summer Reading. She's obviously a filly that's probably better on the dirt, as we saw her find the winner circle here. But the debut performance, there were some horses that came out of the race okay, and some that didn't. So you have to question the depth of that race. We saw Orzo, a horse that's in the running lines, can't win, dropping down for the maiden claiming level. So I would proceed with a little bit of caution with this one.
Yeah, I mean, she's making it. I really liked her turf sprints at Saratoga and Belmont last spring. But what I liked about this daughter of City Zip, Todd Pletcher, has a training consistently at Palm Meadows. So I went off those works, and I've learned over and over, don't leave Todd Pletcher out of anything. So I threw him on the ticket, but I like Blossom and Todd, and I'm really interested to see how the 5 Charming Fantasy runs in there.
And one other horse, because it's low on the morning line, the 1 Conquest Sarah Star. She debuted at Woodbine back on the 22nd of August, and she gets Lasix for the first time. A high price purchase by Lemon Drop Kid, and she finished behind the likes of Catch a Glimpse. We know what she's gone on to do, but also pulled the goalie. Do you remember this horse went off at a pretty decent price a couple weeks ago? And she actually came back to win an allowance optional claiming event in an 81 buyer speed figure. So that race was pretty tough too, but this is another one who's going to have to really improve off of her debut performance.
And Mark Cassie and Jose Lascano have been teaming up and doing some really good work over the last couple of days.
We'll go on to the 5th race, a maiden 12,500 event, 6 furlongs onto the main track, and the 6 Put It Back Jack. The question will forever remain, do you try to beat George Navarro?
I didn't today. It's taking an immediate drop to the bottom after breaking in with it at the start, never really getting on track. It was its $25,000 career debut. George Navarro, we got a stat we want to show you on it. I thought it was kind of interesting, this stat. It's over the last 5 years. He's 3 for 9, 33% in the money. 8 for 9, 89%, in the money, excuse me, he's 3 for 9, 33% win average. I just, 50% drop, and from mid-level claim is going to the bottom. I just thought that was a stat that you want to look at. The 89 cent in money jumped in the money record jumped off into me.
It's still a negative ROI, though.
Yeah.
That's the only bad thing. He knows when to kind of lay these horses in. That's why the barn wins money. It makes money, wins races as well. And you go back and look at the last race. It took him a while to really gather his footing after not breaking well. He didn't break well. He bobbled a couple of times. So the concern is now they're a quick give up. Now they're putting him for the bottom tag, but as we just saw, the barn wins with these types of horses. Beyond that, the El Señor de los Cielos, I liked this horse last time out. I didn't know why he didn't go to the lead at 7.5 furlongs. He seemed like a sprinter stretching out. That should have been the fastest horse in the race, but he, on a class drop alone, I thought would make him competitive. And you also have the 4, who last dirt race was off a 9-month layoff.
Yeah, he's dropping to this 12.5 level and going back to the main track, hoping both of those adjustments today spark a wake-up call in there.
Okay, the 6th race, a restricted starter optional claiming event, 6 furlongs on the main track. We do have a couple of scratches in here, but the 4 Capital City comes back with a vengeance here, a 10-time winner, and he's trying to get 3 in a row.
Yeah, the only concern I had, you look at his record at the distance, 12 starts, 1 win, 1 second and 4/3. That was my only concern. He's turning back to that distance and posting his 2nd consecutive score. Is that a concern with the 1 and 12 at the distance? That was I put him on top, but I was a little shaky about it.
It was a concern for me, and it gave me enough of a reason to try to find some other players in here. I do respect him. You have to respect horses like this that just are so consistent, and he really has been. He can use his speed to his advantage. But again, he's a horse that I might prefer a little bit better at the 7/8 or maybe the 1-turn mile here too. So what other options are you left with? The 10, Resourceful, I think from a class standpoint, is going to be very dangerous, and you should be able to get good money on this because William Downing, kind of, low profile connections, only had 59 starters this year and 7 wins. A new face to South Florida, Nick Juarez in the saddle, so you should be able to get the 5-to-1 odds or similar on this horse. But he's coming out of a starter allowance race at Parks where we saw, here's a Jetpack, the 2nd place finisher, come back and win an allowance optional claimer next out at Aqueduct. He's coming out of races behind Danzig Storm, who recently won an allowance optional down at Tampa by 7 lengths. These are quality horses that he has been running against, and this is a very, very savvy move in my opinion. He's a Florida bred, and they're taking advantage of this condition.
Yeah, if you look at his back figures at Aqueduct, puts him right in the hunt with this level of competition. And out of those 2, another horse also came out of that race and won. So 3 next out winners out of that race in Park. So that was pretty good. So Resourceful, certainly have to have him somewhere on your ticket.
Other than that, you're kind of grasping at straws. The 8 Bulldozer was one for George Navarro. I left off the ticket, but could easily come back and win this race.
Yeah, I mean, he's dropping into a competitive spot. He followed a 2nd place finish with a Stark and Fade 5th. He was beaten 12 lengths by a horse we've been watching over the last couple of days, and that's Defer Heaven, and it is George Navarro. Put him on my ticket. He's not beating me today.
Okay. That's races 1 through 6. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Rainbow 6. Once again, $2.9 million carryover right after this commercial break. Welcome back to Gulfstream today. As we just mentioned, $2.9 million. How does that sound?
Sounds pretty good, and I like the fact that he started it off with a stakes race here. So we're going to get right into the action at $2.9 million. It'll be over 3 as soon as we say, hey, the pool is open. It'll be over 3.
I agree with you. So probably a lot of money bet into it here once again today. We'll take a look at the sequence, and we started off with a very nice stakes race, the Silks Run, and I'm taking a stand. I love Simon Bar Sinister. We'll get to him in a second, but I am taking I'm not using him in the first leg of the sequence, using 2-4. That gives me the ability to really spread out with several horses in race 8 because that is a wide open maiden claiming event. Keen off of the 3 in race 9 there, Chamberlain, who's trained by trainer Chad Brown, using 3 horses in race 10, just 2 in race 11, our other feature race of the day, and capping it off with 4 horses in the final leg. A nice, cheap 48 flat ticket.
Yeah, you got that horse coming in from Europe as your single today, and should be a fun wager.
I have this thing where it's if it's like a $48 ticket flat or a $72 ticket flat, it gets lucky sometimes. So hopefully we can get through.
Today's the day.
Today's the day. We're going to take the Big Six down with a $48 ticket. I don't know about that. We'll take a look at the 7th race, though, and go back and look at the Gulfstream Turf Sprint, where we saw the likes of Power Alert and Amelia's Wild Ride, and both come back to face each other here once again. Power Alert, he's just... He loves this course. He's 3 for 3. He's undefeated here, and I thought this was an excellent performance. We saw the 13 Amelia's Wild Ride trying to rally from off the pace, and then we did see the other horse, a Night Officer, I thought kind of guided Amelia's Wild Ride to really kick him into gear, but no doubt about it, it was a sharp performance by both contenders. And you have to, I think, key off of these 2 horses, at least for this race.
And I think the key right there, you said post 13. She was the 13 in that race. So I thought Amelia's Wild Ride ran really well. She's been razor sharp since shipping in from Penn National. He won the $150,000 Sunshine Millions Turf Sprint. Then he comes back from that tough post and runs a good second. I'm going with him, but Power Alert, like you said, perfect 3 for 3 on this course.
And he's going to get the pace that he wants. We have Dr. J-Dub, who might send from the rail. We have Bold Thunder, who's very fast, who's out-sprinted several others that he's faced before in the past. He just hasn't shown a tendency to finish very well. And that could set up for your big players like the 2 Amelia's Wild Ride and the 4 Power Alert. I like Power Alert because, A, he's proven himself on this turf. He absolutely loves this turf course. He's undefeated. Now, the only negative is that Julien Leparoux gets along with this horse very, very well. He can take him to the lead. He can relax him from off the pace. Julien Leparoux out of town at Tampa today. Big card at Tampa. So Luis Saez, definitely a excellent jockey, but there was a little bit of a sense of they got along very well, Leparoux and this horse. So that's one thing that you could take into consideration. But the 5 Simon Bar Sinister is a horse that you round out your ticket with. He delivered for me last time out. He did, because he had so many bad trips and just unfortunate circumstances, but he does have to take a step forward.
Well, he's going to try and make it 2 sprint victories in a row after following that dead heat 3rd place finish behind Amelia's Wild Ride in the Sunshine Millions Turf with a $62,500 score last time out. MSCL Jaramillo, boy. This one is tough to leave off the ticket. It really, really is.
He was my single last time out. Wow. I loved him so much because he ran so well in Sunshine Millions Day. He obviously had a lot of trouble in that trip as well. I've been on his bandwagon for quite some time. Hathersall, I thought, why sprint this horse? And Jason Service is obviously a very astute trainer. So the fact that he's keeping this horse at a sprint distance and stepping him up back to stakes competition at 5 furlongs, which is a specialist distance, I thought was interesting. So I had to respect the connection.
Paco Lopez, too, in the saddle. So, yeah, it looks like they're planning to have this horse sit close to the pace today. So a lot of different options in there, but I'm going with Amelia's Wild Ride.
Okay, race 8 on the card, a maiden $50,000 event, a mile and a 16th on the turf. You and I both agree on the 2, Classio Prado.
Yeah, Classio Prado I have on my ticket. The Classio Prado drop it to the $50,000 level and stretching out to a mile and a 16th. They're returning from a 3-month layoff to finish a useful 6th. It was against maiden special weight competition. Going a mile was on a firm turf course. I think you got a stat you want to show on the...
We do. Dale Roman's very good with this angle, with turf horses dropping from maiden special weight to maiden claiming level over the past several years. 13 for 49, 27%, finishing in the money 45% of the time, still a positive ROI. Now, the only negative is Tyler Gaffleone was initially meant to ride this horse, and now Jose Lezcano will ride him. Tyler Gaffleone goes to the 14 Mohegan Avenue.
Yeah, Mohegan Avenue, you know, Mohegan Avenue, if you look, I was on the A's. It was 3-1 on the morning line. That's in a horse that just in case he got in. So they figured this horse is going to run well in there. But Classio Prado on top of your ticket. I did go to the horse you have in second second on top. Martini Kita, full brother to $980,000 Grade 1 winner, Somali Lemonade. Moved to the Marcus Vitale Bond via the claim, receives Lasix. Had traffic at the 16th pole, lacked a little bit of room in there, finished fifth. I thought he ran pretty well last time out. I think it's a lateral move for this horse. But there's a stat I wanted to show you on Marcus Vitale, and you'll see it when it comes up right now. And this is Martini Kid. He's only 2 for 19, 11%, 32% in the money, but only a 64-cent ROI. First off the claim on the turf with mid-level claimers in the last 5 years. So not really Marcus's game with horses being claimed and going on the turf.
And probably one to use, I had to use, you can't really throw out, in my opinion, you can't really throw out the 12 strong for Todd Pletcher, Luis Saez, the 14 Mohegan Avenue. So this is why I had to just use 2 horses in the first leg so I could spread in this leg of the sequence. We also have the 10 Mavin here who I'm using. George Weaver over the past several years does win with these types of horses and has some really nice line of turf pedigree on the bottom side. This horse probably has wanted to get to the turf, but has been racing in the Mid-Atlantic for the past 2 starts. So now shipping him down here, new trainer, new surface.
Yeah, so I'm glad you went deep in there. Wouldn't even be better if you went a little deep.
Oh, you're a pick 5. We should look at the pick 5.
Gets carried away with that Rainbow Six and forgets me. Let's show it. 2-5-12 in here. The horses we just mentioned, you see it go down. 4 in the next race, the race 9, 2, 2, and 2. And that is $48 in my ticket there. And I believe we have some of the same horses in the opening leg in race number 8 for my pick 5, 48 bucks. Let's see what we can do today.
Okay, and race 9, you're using several different horses there in the leg of the sequence. 2 other than allowance optional claimer, a mile on the turf. We'll go look at Conquest Typhoon in the most recent replay. This is a horse that you opt for as well, and I think one to definitely respect. Now, Mike Smith aboard this day, there were several other riders who I thought just made a little bit more of an aggressive earlier move, and he just waited. Maybe he didn't see a seam, but he just waited a touch too long. This horse obviously is one that needs a little bit of time to really get his wheels start spinning, and I thought he ran a winning race. He was closing strongly. If he just had a little bit of an earlier move and gotten into the game earlier, I thought it could have made all the difference.
I like this performance before that in the Tropical Park Derby. You see he finished 5th, but I thought it was a really good race. So this horse has just been, he needs a little racing luck and certainly can get the job done. On top of my ticket today, Conquest Typhoon.
And Tubelane here making his United States debut for trainer Chad Brown. This horse has been working very well, and speaking to DRF's Mike Welsh, has been working, or last worked with Life Imitates Art, who obviously won the Dania Beach. He is a 3-year-old, so do take note of that too. Gets Lasix for his stateside debut. This horse has been running against far, far better horses overseas. And the big question is, how good is he? Will he like the turf? Will he like Lasix? There's a lot of unknowns when you get these European horses. But a horse like Glen Eagles, a 4-time Group 1 winner, ran in the Breeders' Cup Classic, just, towers over the rest of this field. Yeah,
and he was only beaten 4 lengths in the Group 1 Irish 2000 Guinea. So this horse, like you said, keeping some company over in Europe, coming back, a great barn, classy son of First Defense.
Even when he debuted, when he won his maiden victory there, he beat Highland Reel, who went on to win the Grade 1 Secretariat last year, and we obviously saw him go on and beat Flincher in Hong Kong too. So the horses, the class lines, that's why I just had to single him here today. You respect him as well, and the 5 Element you throw in at a bit of a price.
Yeah, should be primed and ready to offer more if you're returning from a fresh and copy. 2 lengths against $50,000 optional claimers. It's Todd Pletcher. It's $175,000 son of Unbridled Song. He's in for the tag. So a little bit of a concern there.
A little bit of a cause for pause. Race 10, moving right along, 6 furlongs on the main track for this maiden special weight event. And this is another tough race, and I think you just have to kind of play on works, play on breeding, play on what trainers do well with maiden special weight first-time starters.
Yeah, and that's why I went to the 2 V's boy, a $430,000 son of Unbridled Song, debuting for Pletcher. Todd Pletcher, solid morning work tab showing. You watch the tote, we've been mentioning this all the time. time. If this horse is favored, you can't do this when you're betting a Rainbow Six, but always good to watch the tote and see which first-time starter's taking money.
We also have Adulator, the 12 here for Jimmy Jerkins, and Buy Flatter, a high price purchase there, $400,000 for Centennial Farms. Now on the bottom side, Need, she was actually an unraced mare, but if you go back to the second generation, the second dam was actually Trip, a multiple graded stakes winner. She, I believe, her earnings were over $880,000 too. And I like the consistent, solid work pattern that this horse is coming into the race with. And I think he's going to be a runner, one to definitely respect. And we also have the 7 Barack for Kieran McLaughlin, who another one is very well bred.
We're very well bred, and Kieran McLaughlin does an excellent job with his first-time starter. So, boy, this is a really nice race and a very wide-open race in my estimation. And if you're just betting exactas and tries, watch the board and see how they play it.
And, yes, in that race, using the 2, 7, 12 in the pick 6, I could only afford to use 3 horses in there to try to keep it an affordable ticket. We'll move on to the 11th race, our other feature race of the day, 5 furlongs onto the turf. And we have the likes of the 2 Katie's Kiss and Jewel of a Cat coming into this race, outside of the likes of Lady Shipman last time out. And we'll take a look at that replay as well, where we see Jewel of a Cat and Katie's Kiss. Jewel of a Cat obviously is number 5, and Katie's Kiss was number 8. And I don't know how you kind of approach this race and approach this replay. I think Katie's Kiss is one that you have to respect, and I thought Tyler Gaffleone did a fantastic job really settling her from off the pace. She was a little bit wide on the backside. He did well to gather her up, kind of save ground going into the first turn. But look at the position that Jewel of a Cat is in. It's a very awkward position, chasing Lady Shipman. And in my opinion, when you have such a fast filly, you'd rather be sitting, stalking, relaxed from off the pace than having to chase and duel with a horse like Lady Shipman. So therefore, I thought it was a stronger performance. Both very, very good, because Katie's Kiss, obviously, a strong performance. I think it was a stronger performance by Jewel of a Cat.
Yeah, but Katie's Kiss, the reason I like Katie's Kiss, just a little over Jewel of the Cat, got back into the David Fawkes barn. This horse was out of town, back in the David Fawkes barn, and I'm expecting this horse, now that it's back home and had some time, ran a good race last time out, looking for a top performance from number 2, Katie's Kiss. Jewel of the Cat, you got to go with those 2 on your ticket.
Yes, I agree with you. And in the pick 5, did you just use those 2 horses?
No, I used those 2 horses, and my third horse was Forest Funds, but I didn't go that deep. I was trying to save the ticket, just too deep there.
So just using 2 horses there in in race 11 there. But as we cap off the 12th race on the card, I think you have to use several horses in this final leg of the sequence. 5 furlongs onto the turf, a maiden $35,000 event. You land on the 4, I Go for Greatness, who really did have an unfortunate trip last out.
Yeah, he's going to wear blinkers today after dueling for lead, getting bumped steadied, finished 4th behind, being placed 3rd in that race via Stewart's decision. So I just went back and looked at the race and thought maybe this is the one that is going to get the job done today. But also the number 12, Zen Sunrise, on my ticket.
And as we saw Give to UK Cats, he was kind of reckless in a sense. Was really, really hit left-handed and kept coming out and kind of closed the hole for the 4, I Go for Greatness, who looked like was making a winning move. And I respect that horse too. The 9, Cantrell, was won by Discreet Cat on the bottom side. This 3-year-old colt is actually a half to Bouchard, who made $250,000 on the turf. And the connections decide to go straight to the turf. Now the big question is the layoff, now dropping for the $35,000 tag. There are a lot of negatives.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough race to try and decipher. And we both used the 6 Fairy Tale Finish. One of the horses I did use on my late pick 5 from the Joe Sharp barn. So I just thought maybe that horse could be on the ticket too.
He's been a bit of a money burner though, and that was my concern. I think he's one you have to use protectively, and the 12 Zen Sunrise is one you have to use protectively, because the money that this horse took in his turf debut, it can't go unnoticed.
Yeah, it can't go unnoticed, and he was, again, as you mentioned, bothered by Give to UK Cats. He was actually placed 2nd in that race after getting bopped around by that horse.
Well, we did it. We made it on time.
Right on time.
A minute early, too. That's 12 races on tap today. We've got some excellent stakes action, some really nice maiden races, too, that I'm looking forward to. And what's not to look forward to about the pick 6? $2.9 million on the line.
Carryovers, guarantees, beautiful weather. What a trifecta.
What more could you ask for? I don't know. That's enough for us here today. Oh, I know what you could ask for.
What's that?
Larry Colmus.
Larry.
And he'll be up right next after us here. We'll be back for those races 1 through 12. Larry Colmus will be up shortly with those scratches and changes. Thanks again for joining us here on Gulfstream Today.